a lot of people see interactive as it needs to depend on me to actually do something, and I think that definition is way broader than that now. And I think, to me, I use the word interactive less, and I'm moving more towards digital, because things that we experience, either analog or digital, have different repercussions and have different ways that you interact with it, and different ways that you can sort of engage with it both physically and emotionally. So I think trends will always be there, and they're almost always by big players. Like, so for instance, I think Apple really did a good job of popularizing that like shiny, really polished look, and then everybody sort of adopted that because of how big and how influential that is. So I think as trends happen, people are going to copy them until someone else comes out with the next best thing. And I see them as styles that are subjective. So I don't necessarily think that there's a good style. I think there's styles that people react to well and styles that people don't react to well. And I think that's different per person. So I kind of prefer to view it as design being this thing that solves particular problems, and style kind of being on top of that. So there are a lot of really good stylists out there, and I think that gets confused for being really good web designers or being really good designers. Generally, we look for T-shaped people. So we look for people that are very broad. You know, at the top of the T, they are very broad in skill sets, so they kind of understand the whole gamut of the project cycle, whether it's development or project management or design or any of that stuff, or strategy. But then we also look for people that have a specialty, that are kind of deep within a particular specialty. So we can have a designer that's really good with 3D, but understands typography, even though they're not a great typographer. So I think designers who don't sort of understand the process are crippling themselves and are at a disadvantage. And I think there are definitely exceptions to that, but they're few and far between. I still remember one thing from my first year that I've been here. I went to a panel by Andy Budd, and afterwards I really wanted to talk to Andy. And like, my mission here was like, I want to get to know all the speakers. Like, I want to, like, as soon as they're done, I'm gonna like rush the stage and try and get to talk to them and give them my business card. But Andy, in his panel, he said, don't go to rush the stage after, and don't try to speak with all the speakers. We're doing good work, and yeah, we're up here, but try to turn to the person next to you and introduce yourself to them and say hello to them. And because they're doing just as good work as we are, and they're just as smart, and they're just as brilliant. We just got lucky in that our panels got approved. So he said, like, don't be afraid, and don't think that you're doing less by just talking to the people around you. And so I took that advice, and I kind of introduced myself to the people next to me and all the panels. And from that, I met some of like my best friends that I want to see here every year, and some like really fun and cool people that I ended up working with, or ended up hiring, or ended up being hired by. And those are, like, I think those are the relationships that last, not just like, I want to talk to the speaker because the speaker's on stage.